Hello and welcome to Men in Hoodies, the news show for all things sports produced by AHS Tiger Life. I'm Jake Stoope.
And I'm Brent Lyons. Thanks for joining us. Grab your hoodie and let's start the show. Welcome to the first showing of Men in Hoodies. This show will focus on everything sports, from national news to highlights and to your own Arlington Tigers. We've got it all. Today we'll be talking about the NFL overtime rules and the big game coming up on Sunday. But first, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Brent Lyons. I'm an Arlington varsity runner on the cross country and track team. And now to introduce my fellow co-hosts, to my left we have Jake Stoope and to my right we have Roman Cleary. Tell me a little about yourselves, you guys.
Yeah, as he said, my name is Jake Stoope. I'm a junior in high school. I love sports. My favorite sports teams are the Memphis Tigers, Memphis Grizzlies, so the hometown teams, and then the Atlanta Falcons and the St. Louis Cardinals. So those are my favorite teams. I've always loved sports, and yeah, I'm hyped to be here.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? I'm obviously Roman Cleary, senior here at Arlington High School. I've been the voice of a few of these live streams for the past 3 years. My favorite teams are the Tigers and the Grizzlies, and I guess I identify as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, even though it's much more of a love-hate type relationship. It's not near as much fun as it probably sounds.
Well, our first topic here at the round table is one that's a little bit frustrating to discuss for many football fans, the overtime rules. Guys, let's get into this discussion.
I'm ready.
Roman, you can start us out. Give us your little spiel on the overtime rules here.
Okay, so the overtime rules they're complicated. It's a complicated discussion because there are so many factors that play into, what should happen here, who should get the ball first, and all this and that. And here's my thing. Whatever you want to do with the overtime rules, you cannot allow playoff football to come down to what is essentially a coin toss.
I agree.
You cannot do that. If you want to do something that kind of shortens it for the regular season, that's one thing. But when it comes to the playoffs, when it comes to big-time games, you can't let one team get the ball and then another team not get the chance just because the team that gets it first scores a touchdown. There are many ways you can change up the rules, many ways you can do this. But here's what I propose. I propose that two teams or both teams get a chance with the ball starting at the 50, and then after those two possessions, if the score's still tied after that, it's pretty much sudden death from there. And in the regular season, through 15 minutes of football, it's just a tie if it doesn't get anywhere in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But in playoffs, that's obviously not the case.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on most of that. I have a different proposition myself, but we'll get to that later. This is my stat, okay? A lot of people have been complaining about the overtime rules ever since the Bills and Chiefs game happened. And then we had the Vikings, I think it was the Vikings or the Saints and the Rams a couple years ago, and then just years in the past. But 20% of teams who win the coin toss and score on the first drive, that's only 20% of games in the regular season. That's only 20%. That's 1 out of 5. That's not very much, and that's pretty random if you ask me. But I understand if we were to keep it at the same format, then that would just suck because we've seen so many problems with this throughout the years. I think what we need to do is we need to change, but here's my take on it. There's no way you can make the overtime perfect. Right. There's always going to be someone that complains. There's always going to be something wrong with it. So I think us constantly having to change it because of different games that we make us affect our opinion, I don't think that's right. Obviously, I think there could be better ways to do it, but should we make a change? Probably not, because there's always going to be a wrong way. Now, if I had a hypothetical way to change it, I don't know who I heard this from, but this would be a good plan to change it, and this would eliminate injury concerns and all that stuff because you playing the 15-minute overtime would just allow those things to happen even more. So here's my proposition. You know how soccer and the penalty shootouts, right? Soccer and the penalty shootouts, that is one of the most exciting things in sports that you can ever imagine. You have 5 kicks for both teams, and it's one-on-one, and if you make it, you score. Here's my proposition. You have 5 chances to get a 2-point conversion for each team, okay? And you swap turns. which eliminates driving down the field past playing 60 minutes of football, which eliminates injuries and tiredness and fatigue and all that. You have 5 chances to score, and whoever scores the most out of that 5 chances, they win the game, and then sudden death after that if you tie. I think that eliminates the possibility for injury, further injury, because you're obviously gassed from playing 60 minutes of physical football.
Yeah, one thing that you cannot do, no matter what, you can't go to the college rules. You cannot do that.
Completely.
That is just injuries and disaster
Exactly.
waiting to happen. Brent, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, and I can kind of take a little bit from both of you, and then I kind of have my own thing as well. I did hear kind of the same thing that you heard, only with the 2-point thing. Only I heard it with field goals, so I kind of thought that you were going the field goal
No shot.
route.
That'd be
Did
terrible.
you guys see that
We would have,
proposition that Russell Wilson had earlier? He had like some sort of thing where like it would essentially just end like in like a kickoff with like the field goal kickers or
That's awful.
whatever. I can't quite remember what it was completely, but I know he came up with some
That's
sort of
not football. That's kicking.
Crazy.
Yeah, you got it.
Football kickers are an important part of football, but what I kind of took from it is that the fans want to see something, and the players and the league, they don't want injuries, but they also want to still create a money opportunity and things like that. So finding a way to find the happy medium in between both of those, like the fans and the keeping players safe, the creating money opportunities for the NFL, and all these different things, you're gonna have to find a way to change the rules somehow.
Right.
Whether it means you do this 2-point conversion thing, or you're doing this start at the 50-yard line and work the ball towards the end zone, and after that it's sudden death. I don't know. I feel like eliminating the coin toss though is something that has to be done, because you're taking away from football when you go to overtime in the playoffs, and you're essentially giving it to a 25-cent coin to decide who wins, instead of taking the skill of the players and what they've done to get to the game. Is kind of eliminating the entire team that's about to lose and essentially just kicking it to a coin toss. So that's kind of what I have on that bigger deal. But we do have a bigger deal, even bigger than the one we just talked about, to go to next. And the topic is the Super Bowl. So this Sunday we have the Super Bowl, and want to see what you guys kind of think. What's your keys to success for both games? Maybe how overtime could affect this game as well. Thoughts on this game? So we'll start. Last time we started with Roman. This time we'll start with Jake. Jake, what you got?
Key things to the game is 100%. You're going to notice this from the first play. The battle on the line of scrimmage is going to be what determines the game.
Yeah, correct.
You've got Aaron Donald, you've got Von Miller, you've got all these guys on the Rams defensive line. They have 3 top 10 defensive linemen in the league, and these guys are going to pass rush and really blitz on this offensive line for the Bengals, who have struggled. I believe they gave up 9 sacks against the Titans. Yeah. Kind of lucky they pulled that one out because of the last-second field goal. So they got out of that one pretty well, and the Titans already had problems anyways that they came into that game with. So I think this game's going to come down to the defensive battle between the offense of the Bengals and the defense of the Rams, because we already know the offense of the Rams is going to be special anyways, because they've been consistent all year. They've got Cooper Kupp, they've got Cam Akers back, they got Matthew Stafford that's not on the sucky Lions now. So they've got a good team. This one's going to be really good, but look forward to that defensive matchup between the Rams and Joe Burrow.
Yeah. This is such an interesting matchup to me for multiple reasons. You have the guy in Joe Burrow, who's essentially been a winner for his whole life. Heisman Trophy winner, undefeated national champion in 2019. First overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. Now here in his second season in the NFL, coming back from an ACL tear, he's got the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Crazy.
He's got them, led them to their first playoff win in 30 years. Took them all the way. He beat Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead.
Yeah, he did.
No one's been able to do that since Brady did it back in, 2018, 2019?
America's daddy.
Yeah, and then you got Matthew Stafford, who has been a loser. It's not his fault that he's been a loser, because he's been on the Detroit Lions, but he's lost a lot despite the fact that he has been a great quarterback in the NFL for such a long time. He's finally got this opportunity in LA with the Rams to cement his legacy as that legit guy. A lot of people have been calling Matthew Stafford that underrated quarterback, the guy that's been constantly overlooked for years. He's finally got an opportunity to prove that. And this is such an interesting game. You know, both teams, it's a likable scenario, likable story for both. I'm obviously not personally rooting for the Bengals for reasons that I'm not going to get into here. But both teams are quite easy to root for. For sure. But while it's obviously the Super Bowl, it's a must-win game for both teams. I think it's especially important for Cincinnati to capitalize on this opportunity, because I don't think they're getting it again The division in the North is going to be harder. Their schedule is going to be harder. They're going from a fourth-place schedule to a first-place schedule next season. The Ravens are going to be back healthy. The Steelers are not going to have a noodle armor quarterback next year. The Browns still swept them, and they were an absolute mess. They'll likely be better. And then, of course, you have Buffalo and Kansas City to deal with. So I think it's really important for Cincinnati to win this because they may not get another opportunity at this again.
Yeah, and I think you guys both make great points. If I'm thinking about what it comes down to for both teams, I think that we have the defense of the Rams. That's really what it's going to come down to, and for the offense of the Bengals, because we know the Rams have a juggernaut on each side of the ball for most of their entire roster is pretty much
Pretty good.
really good players. There's no you can point out players, but everybody does their part really. For the Bengals, the offensive line is not
weak.
good.
It's
yeah,
weak.
it's weak. We can say so. Really, you have to rely on Joe Burrow and your passing options and Joe Mixon to get the job done. There's not going to be much help, and then maybe Shooter McPherson, of course, could get something done and help them win the game. But really, it's going to come down to the offense, not line, of the Bengals and the defense of the Rams. But really, this is a feel-good story for both teams. It's kind of hard. I know you're a Steelers fan, so it's not hard for you. But for everybody else, it's kind of hard to pick because Joe Burrow's America's sweetheart, and Matthew Stafford's been on a bad team for a long, long time. And so it's just a feel-good story for everyone with Odell and Joe Burrow and all these guys getting their first opportunity to play in a Super Bowl. So really, it's the matchup that everybody wanted to see. And speaking of matchups, it's time for our top 5 game predictions that we have, matchups of this week, including the Super Bowl. So we can go ahead and get started. Why not with the Super Bowl? So, Jake, you want to kick us off?
The Super Bowl matchup is going to be Sunday, February 13th at 5:30 on NBC, if you didn't know already. And who I've got in this game, I'm going to have to go Rams because their offense and defense is just way too stacked on both sides of the ball. And Cincinnati's come on fortunate times against teams that have been down on themselves. So I'm going to go Rams in this one.
Yeah. I know I said this is a must-win game for the Bengals, so it's really unfortunate, at least for them, that I'm picking the Rams to win this one. I think Los Angeles controls the line of scrimmage, dominates this game from start to finish. Cincinnati will keep it close in terms of the score, but the Rams will control it throughout. And, yeah, the Rams win their first Super Bowl since '99.
I guess I'm going to have to go against everybody right now and say Joe Shiesty, Joe everybody, Shooter McPherson, Bengals win, and a closeout, win the first Super Bowl in 30 years. So that's what I got.
Interesting take there, Brent. Next game, we've got Saturday, February 12th at 7:30 p.m. on ABC. We've got the Los Angeles Lakers at the Golden State Warriors. Roman, who you got in this game?
Warriors, not much explanation needed there. The Lakers are a complete disaster. The Russell Westbrook experiment is not working. I'm just going to go the Warriors by a pretty significant margin.
Yeah, I'm going to ditto that one. That one's pretty good. MVP caliber play in Steph Curry. He's been a little bit down on his shooting, but he's going to get it back against the Lakers. And Russell Westbrook should be hopefully gone by this time. So maybe the Lakers will give a little bit of a fight, but Warriors all the way, baby.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Warriors as well. They're second in the West with a 9-game win streak. The Lakers are just drama. Their average age is like 33 years old. They stand no chance against this Warriors team. I got Warriors. Next game, we've got Saturday, February 12th at 11 a.m. on ESPN2. We've got the number 20 ranked Texas Longhorns facing off against the number 10 Baylor Bears. Brent, who you got in this college matchup?
I think Baylor's kind of been on a down streak recently in some of the games that they played against Alabama and stuff like that. Alabama has beat high caliber teams, but it's kind of been a little iffy since then. So I'm going to go with the upset in Texas. I think Texas is going to get it done against Baylor. That's just kind of my little spiel there, maybe a little upset.
Scott Drew is one of the best coaches in college basketball. What he's done this year with all the talent that he lost from the championship team last year has been unbelievable. Baylor's been sliding a little bit, but this game is in Waco. I'm taking the Bears to win this one.
Interesting. That's probably what most people are going to pick, but I'm also going to go with Brent and take the Texas Longhorns. They are number 1 in defensive opponent field goal percentage, and that is a huge number, especially when you play this Baylor team, who has had unfortunate circumstances with their players and their shooting percentage. I'm going to go Texas all the way, and I mean, Baylor hasn't really played well in quad 1 games this year, so I'm going to have to go them. We got the next game. This is the hometown favorite for me and Roman especially. Saturday, February 12th at 2:30 p.m. on ABC. We got our Memphis Tigers against the number 6 Houston Cougars. Roman, here's your pick.
First.
I'm going to take Memphis here. I am. And it's not bias. I think Memphis matches up really well with Houston. I think they got their core players back healthy, and they're a better team without Imani Bates, and Imani Bates likely won't be playing in this game. I'm taking Memphis to get the upset against Houston.
You got it, Jake. I'll wait.
Are you wait? Okay. I'm going to have to go with Memphis in this game. I know this is a big-time upset. I believe they have a 7% chance to win the game. But Houston lost to SMU last night, and that ended a 12-game win streak, and Houston has a young team. They lost their best guard in Marcus Sasser, and they already lost, I think it was Travion White earlier in the season. So this team is young, and they're inexperienced. They have a lot of talent, but they're inexperienced. I'm going to go Memphis. I'm going to go the more experienced team. This is a must-win game as well. They have to win this game, so I'm going to go Memphis all the way to get the upset in Houston.
Man, well, you guys, since we don't have enough time for you guys to shoot me down, Memphis will only win if Amani Bates plays in this game. There's no question about it.
Have you watched the
I'm
game?
going to go with Memphis if Amani plays, Houston if they don't. If Amani is not in, that means they lose the game, but that's what I got.
Yeah, the Amani conversation is a completely different argument. But anyways, last game out of 5. We've got Sunday, February 13th at 1 o'clock on ABC. The Atlanta Hawks are going to Boston to play the Celtics in TD Garden. Who you got, Roman?
This is an NBA regular season game on a Sunday afternoon. Super Bowl Sunday. Not much on the line here in this game. I'll take Atlanta. Trae Young lights it up.
Okay.
I'm going to take Boston with Jason Tatum. Think I'll have a 30-piece. Easy win for Boston.
Yeah, I'm going to go Boston as well over Atlanta. I've always liked Boston's core with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum over Trae Young and John Collins, and I know the Hawks have had some trade talks so far, so I don't know what's going to happen with them, so I'm going Boston all the way.
And now we're going to focus on to the Arlington sports a little bit. We know all about the youth and inexperience within the Arlington men's basketball team. While the team has had plenty of talent, the majority of the players on this year's team have never even played on varsity prior to this season. This even applies to the only senior on the team, Aiden Ludwig. We spoke with the eldest Arlington Tigers. He reflects on his first and only season as a high school varsity player. The men's basketball team here at Arlington was forced to make all sorts of new additions following the departure of Coach Mo Miller back in September. One of these new additions is Aiden Ludwig, who finds himself as the only senior on the Tigers.
I'm Aiden Ludwig, number 32. It's weird, but I don't mind it. I've known some of these guys for a while, so it's not like I've met everyone first day. It was my senior year. Just wanted to play basketball. I've always enjoyed it. I'm the center, so I try my best to get rebounds and score in the paint. That's really all.
There are a lot of responsibilities in terms of leadership that come with being a senior, and the inexperienced big man found that out as much as anyone.
It's everyone's first year on varsity. Getting them all ready for it, that'd be tough. So yeah.
While Arlington isn't having their best season, the district playoffs are still ahead, and Ludwig is determined to try to make every second count.
Play our best, win as many games as we can, see how we do.
Alongside Evan Fargo and Jason Rangel, this is Roman Cleary reporting for AHS Tiger Life.
Thank you, Roman. And now we turn to our next segment, Coach's Corner. This segment has a sit-down with a coach here at Arlington High School to get more of the heart of the sport. Our producer, Blake Beveridge, sat down with Coach Jonathan Simpson, the head coach of the varsity wrestling program, as they prepare for state.
Hi, my name is Blake Beveridge, and today we have the Coach's Corner. And today, for the first episode, we have Coach Simpson here today for to kind of talk about the wrestling's journey to state. So, Coach Simpson, Coach, thank you for being on the show.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So, first question is, what's been some of the defining moments of the wrestling team? I know they've had some big matches. What's been some standouts?
This season, you know, it's been a little different. Last year was kind of crazy, and then the carryover. So, I think being able to wrestle is definitely a defining moment. We struggled early in the season trying to get our lineup together, get people down to weight. Had some fresh faces in the lineup, trying to get them up to par with wrestling on the varsity level. Kind of went through some ups and downs. Struggled a little bit here and there, missing some people and just not being consistent. But the Brentwood tournament really was where our guys kind of turned it around. We had great performances up and down the lineup, came back home. Wrestled Collierville on senior night for a district title and beat them by about 40 or so points, and kind of announced that we were back. You know, we didn't win the region last year in the duels, and I think everybody kind of thought that this was going to be another year where they could beat us again, and we kind of let everybody know, put them on notice, like, hey, we're back, we're ready to go. We're back to win another title.
Well, something that's important to any sport is having a team that really bonds together and works together. So can you kind of tell me, like, with Arlington's rise right now, is the team has a lot of success. Can you kind of tell me how they bonded together as a family?
They spend a lot of time together, and I think some of them probably spend more time with each other than they do some of their legitimate biological siblings. So we've got a really good group of seniors. They've been together for a long time. They wrestled in youth and middle school together. So they've known each other for a number of years. They've always been real tight. They like to have fun. I mean, they are together 12 months out of the year. I'd say out of those 12 months, they probably take 3 weeks off of working out or going to camps or off season or in season, all that kind of stuff. So they're together a lot. And they bond together, and some of them work together. Some of them live around the corner from each other. Some of them are permanent house guests in homes that, they stay with each other all the time. But a lot of times what really brings them together is when they leave the wrestling room, they like to have fun with each other, but they're always competing with each other. There's never a time where you look at them and they're not competing at something. But the great thing about them is they like to see each other win. The camaraderie between the guys on the team, when somebody gets a PR in our weight room, they ring a bell. And everybody stops, everybody cheers, everybody claps, everybody acknowledges. And it also encourages them to have bigger and better accomplishments. Nobody wants to be second on the team. They want to be first.
So you're talking about how you just had that big match against Bartlett, and you had some very big wins over this past little bit. But what's kind of motivates your wrestlers as they kind of go through and they're starting to prepare for regionals and state, and kind of what goes on past that?
As a competitor, your motivation is always to be successful. And I don't know that it's wins and losses as much as it is I want to perform. And if I can go out and have a good performance, then the L's and the W's will take care of themselves. But I want to have the best performance. Can I get to the positions I like to wrestle in that I'm successful in? Can I cut down my mistakes? I don't think that any kid that comes in our program doesn't want to be a state champion. And I think that motivates you a little bit, but I think the bigger thing is how can I go out and better myself? How can I distance myself from the pack? We call it getting bulletproof. I want to be bulletproof, where it doesn't matter what happens, what's going on. I can always wrestle out of that position. I can be successful out of that position. So,
Absolutely. And then just final question is, what kind of makes this team special? You talked about their natural competitors, their family. They work together well as a team. What kind of all that is what really sets them apart from other teams and makes them a special team?
Every team has their own identity. They're their own group. For these guys, they have a lot of experience, but unlike some other teams, they got to have the experience of not winning both region titles. And I do think that motivated them a lot. They never really thought like, hey, we can't do this, or we're not going to make this happen, because they had those things. And these guys got to feel that kind of sting. And I think for them, they say that they kind of righted a wrong by winning again this year. But I would tell you that I think what they did is they showed everybody that, even if you stumble and you have what you consider to be a failure, if you learn from it, it's really not a failure. It's just it's an experience that you have, that you learn from, and you get to move forward from. Those things will happen. It's, can you get back up and can you move back forward in the right direction? And I think for them, last year, that was that stumble. There's a lot of love there, and it's more of a brotherhood than it is like, yeah, I'm a part of the wrestling team. So I think that gives them their identity.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for being on here.
No problems.
And that's it for Coach's Corner. Back to you, Brent, in the studio.
Thanks, Blake, for that exclusive interview with Coach Simpson. And now we will turn to Jerren White with the season recap. Jay White has compiled together some season recaps and highlights for us. Jerren, what do you got?
Hey there, Tiger fans. I'm Jerren White, senior here at AHS, and I've got some your recaps for you. The Arlington Tigers wrestling team started off the season exciting with the opening of their new wrestling facility, winning 2 home matches and a home loss against Christian Brothers. The wrestling team performed extremely well at the Black Horse Invitational, and later in the season headed into the Cleveland Duels at a disadvantage by missing wrestlers at the 106, 113, and the 220 weight classes. Overall, this season has been successful with the Tiger Tough wrestlers, and Tiger Life will have recoveries as they head to the state here in the coming weeks. And now moving from the mats to hoops, the Lady Tigers start off the season rolling, crushing through the competition with ease. Some big-time players made some big-time plays, like Tierney Kelsey, Bria Hampton, Lindsey Long, and Brittany Wells to keep them undefeated and highly ranked in the state until their toughest game of the season against longtime rival Bartlett Panthers. This game was rough for your Lady Tigers and resulted in their first loss of the season and the season-ending injury from one of their star players, Bria Hampton. The boys team for Arlington High School had a rough offseason, losing their head coach and 2 key players. Through the adversity, some young players stepped up and faced the challenge head-on. Players R.J. White, Drew Ellis, Carl Burrows, and Aiden Moskovich. So far, your boy Tigers have seen some rough sledding this season, with their record being 9-15 and 2-8 in the district. So, Arlington fans, we know you're wondering what's up next. Spring sports. Here's our season openers for your Tigers. The baseball team is already looking to be a state contender this year, and with the opening home season matchup against Covington, they will get to show off their preseason hard work. Monday, March 14th at 6:30, your varsity Tigers baseball team will take the field. The Arlington Lady Tigers softball team will start the season opening match against the Barker Saints March 21st at 6 p.m. And the Arlington High School track and field team will take to the stadium on March 12th. Good luck to all those Tigers. Tiger Life will have live streaming on our YouTube channel for spring sports this season. Be sure to check us out. I'm Jerren White, and now over to Jake, who's got our top 5 season highlights. Jake?
It's now time for the Tigers' top 3. Let's take a look at the top 3 highlights from a recent Arlington stream game here at AHS Tiger Life.
Thank you for watching the first episode of Men in Hoodies, where we talk about all things sports. Have fun watching the Super Bowl, and we'll see you next time.